Baby girl, you back. Don't throw the ice in the trash. We can use that. Got a nice bra on. Maybe we can lose that. Don't say you a pro. I'ma make you prove that I love them. That should be your new tag. I just wanna hit that. I could be your new bat. Walk up in the house 2 a.m. where the food at. I'm trying to have it ready when I'm finished fucking.
Welcome back to another episode of Dialogue with Dom. Episode number 8, man. I'm back. I know I've been gone for a little minute, but I'm back with reinforcements. I got a special guest today, man. I got my brother in the building, the creator of the Richmond Planet license plate, Reggie Carter, in the building. What's up, brother?
What's going on? What's going on?
Ain't nothing,
Happy
man.
to be here, brother.
Appreciate you. It's been a long time coming. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I know we're supposed to try to get this curated back in February, but schedule's got in the way a little bit. Mine more than anybody's.
For sure.
But we're here now, so we're going to commemorate Black excellence right now. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with it.
It's all year round, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 365. For Black is 365.
Yeah. So for the people who don't know, I guess we could start about the biggest thing that you do and then kind of trickle back. The Richmond Planet license plate. If they never seen it before, we got a little sample motorcycle John right here in the middle right here. But what is it? How did you come up with the concept? How did we get here today?
So it's Virginia's first, in my opinion, Black license plate that inclusively celebrates Black excellence. So it's not just exclusively for members of the Divine Nine fraternities and sororities. It's not just for individuals who attended historically Black colleges and universities, Hale State, big state, not the little state, Virginia State University. It's not just for them. It's for any and everybody. So to be honest, I'm from Tappahannock, Virginia, as you know as being my guy. But for those of y'all who don't know, I'm from Tappahannock. So the Richmond Planet, I was doing this project back during the pandemic, and it was telling a story about Mr. Thomas Washington. So this African-American man that was lynched for allegedly, emphasis on allegedly, assaulting the daughter of a prominent white citizen. So in order to get this historical highway marker erected, you have to, one, prove that it happened with the Department of Historic Resources. Mm-hmm. So we used some articles from the Richmond Planet newspaper to kind of corroborate that lynching actually occurred. And then for me, it just started this rabbit hole of me just doing, my research. I said, man, well, wow, like for a newspaper company to write an article about a lynching that occurred way back when, one, this lynching itself, we know what it means as being African-Americans, like how big of a deal it was. But for the newspaper, that newspaper had to be a big deal. And doing my research, man, I saw that the Richmond Planet newspaper was founded by 13 former slaves in Jackson Ward, Virginia, or Richmond, Virginia. That was just dope for me. And, ironically, just riding around and I seen, different license plate options. And I'm like, man, and I'm biasly saying this because I went to Virginia State, but I seen this orange Virginia State license plate. And I was like, oh, I know that's not standard issue. Yeah. I know somebody, John or Jane Doe, that's something that was custom made. Mm-hmm. And it just started this rabbit hole, like, me just going through this rabbit hole, starting this process of like, man, I want to make my own. And I would say yourself included, but, my friends, family, fraternity, brothers, was really supportive of me wanting to go, and pursue that endeavor. And we got, here to this day. And I saw that it was something that was feasible. You just had to get 450 pre-orders. So I had to get 450 people who wanted to buy something that I didn't even know what it was going to look like. So I just took that as a challenging, piece and just something to do to just keep me sane during the pandemic, man.
Nah, that's dope. So 450 signatures. Mm-hmm. It don't seem like a lot, but it's a lot, especially when you get somebody, because you had to pay like $10, right? Initially.
For sure.
For the pre-order. So how did you go about promoting the license plate as something that you wanted to share and get out there to get the signatures? Like, were you doing like events? Were you speaking? What were some of the things you were getting into to promote?
I would say before you could even get to that, I had to get a politician to sign off on, hey, if you do your part in getting the 450 pre-orders, I will bring this to the General Assembly. So this process really taught me a lot about state government. So, Joe Morrissey really looked out for me from the beginning. It was like, oh yeah, I know what the Richmond Planet was, and no, I'll be happy, I'll be honored to support you. So that was like the easiest part, ironically, which is meant to be the hardest part, like getting on politicians' schedule, getting them to back it, sign the paperwork, all of that. So once that was done, man, the rest was just being a creative, and like this was like a little outside of my comfort zone. So what I did, I just got a mock design, because I feel like in our community it's hard to sell an idea to someone without something graphic to support it. So I had a model, if you will, and what I told people, I said, look, the final design has not been approved by DMV, so I was very transparent that DMV would have to have the final say in what it would look like. But that, and I would just say, man, major shout out to all of the sneaker resellers, the shoe culture, like all the sneakerheads. They really, took me under their wing and let me come to the events, pop-ups, this and the third. Most of them didn't even charge me, man. So I would just sit there and just for hours at a time, just have conversations with people like, hey, here's what I'm doing. It's $10 if you want just a standard issue plate, or $20 if you want a personalized one. So I really couldn't do it without the sneaker culture. And being a sneakerhead myself, it was something where I got an opportunity to wear some of my favorite shoes and just go out in public and just socialize with people and tell them what I got going on.
That's dope. That's dope. So you said something when you first were describing how you got to this idea and how you came up with. I want to touch back on that because we talked about the marker back at home for the man that was lynched.
Mm-hmm.
What even inspired you to do the digging on that in the first place? I know something happened before that.
Yeah. So George Floyd era, I was a product of that environment. The Black Lives Matter movement. Being out here in Richmond, it was something I really felt compelled to participate in the marches, in the protests. And, I said something that's crazy. Like, I went to a HBCU and I said, man, marching with the rest of the Black and brown people in the world that felt like our Black lives matter, participating in those marches, I felt like that was the first time I felt proud to be Black. And that was just crazy to me. Like, I'm Black, I'm 36 years old. I went to Virginia State University where all we do is, teach Black excellence. But that was the first time I felt proud to be Black. And I said, man, this movement is something that I want to bring back home. So, I teamed up with other citizens, Tappahannock, Essex County, the Northern Neck, participated with them. And back in June of 2020, we had a protest that we dubbed the March on Tappahannock, where over 300 people showed up and we marched in solidarity saying that our Black lives matter. So in doing that, the police tried to stop us, and they're like, oh, you can't get on the streets, this, that, and the third. And it really took one of the citizens, because I filmed that, and it's on YouTube right now. It's called March on Tappahannock. So you got
a whole documentary.
Yeah, I got a whole documentary that I creative directed. So that's on YouTube. And in interviewing one of the citizens, he says something that just resonated with me. He was like, man, we don't ask to protest. We protest. Mm-hmm. If you're going to protest, you protest. You don't ask
for permission.
For permission to protest. So we worked out a deal in the beginning where the police said, all right, if you all protest, we'll let you protest if you don't get in the street. And to be honest, we complied for about 3/5 of the way, if you will. I use that, for intentionally 3/5 of a man. But, at the end, it was just like we walked across this Confederate monument that was back in Tappahannock, which, for those of you who are not from Tappahannock or haven't been to Tappahannock, the monument was in the middle of the street in front of the police station and the courthouse. And that's intentional, So we got in the middle of the road and start protesting. We said, tear it down. And that was something that we asked for. So that started this GoFundMe project where I raised over $10,000 to donate to the cause of removing the Confederate monument, because I didn't want money to be an option, if you will, where they say like, oh, taxpayer dollars. So, if it's a dollar amount associated with it, then it may not have been passed. Mm-hmm. I'd have said like, oh, well, we don't really want to tax the citizens. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna raise some money. So I raised over $10,000. And in doing that, someone was like, hey, you need to look into this lynching that occurred in Tappahannock, and y'all need to do something about that. And I'm like, bruh, I'm born and raised, been in Tappahannock all my life. What lynching?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then I ended up looking it up, and JMU has this like lynching project where, you know, they tell about the lynchings that happened in Virginia. And that was one of them. And I'm like, wow, it did happen. It did exist, you know, where this happened. So that's kind of what just hipped me to the Richmond Planet. So,
Shit,
you know, that's what started the whole journey.
That shit crazy to think of Confederate statues in front of the courthouse. That's automatic bias in that whole,
Yeah.
in that whole, that's crazy. Congress, we supposed to believe that justice is equal, but you got a whole, you know what I'm saying?
I can only imagine, you know, like I've been in that courthouse for, you know, miscellaneous things. It's Tappahannock, so, you know, any little thing you got to go there. It's the only one we had. But it's like, I can only imagine being in some serious trouble, walking past a Confederate monument as you're walking into a courthouse. Not saying that this is the case, but I can only imagine that they're like, man, I don't think justice is about to be. I'm black. I already know what time. The Confederate monument is right here telling me what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so I just did my part and helped get it removed. And it was like one of the most, you know, rewarding things having that taken down.
So in removal of stuff like this, and even it happened in city where, you know, they got rid of some monuments and stuff like that. Now people feel like their history is being attacked or taken away from them.
For sure.
Or being erased. How do you feel with people that would combat anything of that saying?
Yeah,
about
man.
The removal of the statues?
I personally feel like an educated black man or educated black person in general is probably the most dangerous thing to society because in going through that process, there were citizens that was obviously against the removal of the monument, and they said something as crazy as, it's not a Confederate monument. Literally, that's what they said. It's a woodsman soldier. Okay, I can read. It says on the monument to the soldier, you know what I'm saying? It's literally said, Confederate. So, I mean, it had a Confederate flag on it. It's Confederate. You know what I'm saying? So in dealing with that, and there were a lot of people that said, oh, it's erasing our history. It's this, it's that. And for me, man, I'm a big sports fan. I like the Lakers. I'm a diehard Kobe Bryant fan. I'm an Eagles fan. Shout out to the Eagles. They just won the Super Bowl, by the way. Fly Eagles fly for everybody out there. But I've been in sports all my life. You know, football, track, basketball. We don't celebrate the loser. You know what I'm saying? So for me, other than the Confederacy, like we don't really hear or know of situations where the loser is celebrated more than the victor. Like, you know, let's think of the Super Bowl. Eagles beat the Chiefs. We're not going to talk about how the Chiefs lost, like the Chiefs lost, Eagles won. That's what history remembers, you know. NBA, like that's what history remembers, you know, things like that. So in the Confederacy, it's like, somebody said something to me that it's like, man, it's the final frontier. Like the South is the final frontier of Confederate ideology. So they want to keep it relevant, keep the name, but it's like, you all are really celebrating traitors, treasonous individuals who fought against the United States of America at the end of the day. So, you know, for me, I get it. People saying it's erasing history and this and the third, but it's history that shouldn't even have been celebrated, especially when you got, you know, General Robert E. Lee, who, although he was a Confederate general, he is a soldier. And he said, look, I don't want a statue of myself. Like they asked him, you asked the man himself if he wanted a statue. He says, I don't want a statue. Like that was war. You do what you got to do in war. I'm not proud of it. It's over. Let's move on. And then once he passed, that's when he started erecting these statues, especially of Robert E. Lee. So, you know, for me, it's like, man, you can't tell you can't tell history without telling African-American history, right? So it's like, we know why you all want these monuments out. You want to keep your history. You want to keep your lineage alive. You want to keep that ideology. It stands for something that's bigger than us. And it stands for what I feel a system that was never designed for African Americans in the first place. So, you know, that's just my thoughts on it. And if you can remove the symbol of the racist ideology, you make some headway. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
on
no,
that.
for sure. Because it's gonna be some people coming up now. They don't have the monuments to praise. Like if that's
Mhm.
what their parents might have been on. Like you
Mhm.
don't have nothing to even go back to. But
For sure.
they gonna still find a way to funnel that history to themselves. I mean, we see it now. What was going on in the office and stuff, and not to get all political and stuff, but we be seeing, and that's with either side. Some people just blindly be following shit and
Mhm.
don't even be real.
Yeah.
Like how you said, like later I said, it's not a Confederate flag, but it says it on it.
It says it. It says it. Like I'm sorry,
This
bro.
man said this, or he's doing laws to do this. How you gonna say he's not doing when that's what's literally happening?
I'm
like,
sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
not dumb. Sorry, but
yeah, I'm not.
Nah, that's crazy. So, and even to forward that back to what I'm trying to get to now with the Richmond Planet, to think that those were enslaved men.
Yeah.
13 ended up founding it, and was John
Mitchell Jr.
John Mitchell ended up being the editor and the president of the paper. To know that he was born right in my city as a slave and made it out of that, became a banker, owned a bank, and things of that nature before he even became the editor of the paper.
Yeah.
That's like crazy when going through those times of oppression like that. And I'm sure he had a lot of adversity against him during those times. I can only imagine.
For sure.
So yeah, like, so this was 18, when was it the Richmond Planet founded?
1865.
65? Yeah, see, that's crazy, man. And yeah, I just was thinking about that on the way over here, just thinking about like how you still as a black man accomplished all that despite all what was going on. I know his family is probably thankful for your vision and how you end up coming out with this. I seen a few interviews with his great uncle, nephew.
Yeah.
He's like kind of
John Mitchell. Actually, the process was dope, man. You know, like I said, I'm from Tappahannock, man. I didn't know about John Mitchell. I didn't know about the Richmond Planet. Ironically, one of our frat brothers, you know, Vic Motley, he would do a Black history shout out, and he would shout out John Mitchell every February yearly. So I knew of the name, but the significance, I had no clue. The fact that he has murals, you know, in Richmond, had no clue.
Yeah,
you know,
ran for governor.
Yeah. Lost, but he ran.
He ran. First black man to run for, you know what I'm saying?
So all of those things, man, you know, for me, one of the people were like, well, did you get the blessing of the family? And I'm like, no, like, do I need to pause? Do I need to pump my brakes? Like, who's the family? Can you put me, you know, in contact? And the crazy thing about it is, John Mitchell's brother, Kerry Mitchell, reached out to me and was like, look, I'm hearing, you know, some good things. I'm hearing some positive things, you know, this, that, and the third. I'm going to put you in contact with my brother who's out here in Richmond. And I'm like, okay. And then he was like, look, I just want you to let you know, you have the family's support and blessing. So once it was there, it was up from there. I was like, all right, you know, we can keep moving, because I did my research too. And I found, like, you know, the Richmond Planet is no longer in existence. The Baltimore Afro owned the rights. I reached out to them and they were like, you could do what you want with it. You know, like, you know, we have no problem. We're not doing anything with it. So I ended up trademarking and copywriting the license plate. So I just had my own intellectual property and have like freedom to do whatever. And then I went on my journey and started making it. And then the dope part about it, I worked with the Richmond Planet Foundation. So John Mitchell and the Richmond Planet Foundation in the designing of the plate, because I wanted to stay true to my essence of what I wanted it to look like. And I had crazy ideas. Like, you know, I'm a millennial, so I wanted that joint to be busy. I wanted, if it could be holographic, I wanted all of that. And then they wanted simplistic. They wanted true to the nature. And then we had like this meeting of the minds. And I'm like, well, I got a vision. Y'all got a vision. Can we meet in the middle? And it was like, okay, we can meet in the middle. Like, so what does the middle look like? And I said, well, one thing I don't want to compromise on, I want the logo to the newspaper in there somewhere. I don't know where yet, but I want the logo. So that's where the flex bicep came from. And, you know, even to that point, people like, oh, it's a raised fist. Is that? I said, actually, it's not. It's a flex bicep. Those are two different things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, it symbolizes strength. You know, so I said, we're not even going to go down that rabbit hole of what this means, because that's up to interpretation, but this is perceived as negative. But this, we do this. Oh, we're flexing. We're strong. We're strength. So I said, so the masthead, that was actually the masthead of the paper. I put that on there. And then the color on the Pantone, it's brown 88. I said I wanted you to feel like it was a brother on there, and then I wanted you to feel like he had some muscles. So, we went to design it. So John Mitchell, we just started tinkering with it. And I said, here's what I want people to think of when they see it. John Henry Strong. Like that's what I wanted. When you looked at that plate, I wanted you to think of free slave, strength, and strong. So that's how I kind of went there. And then what I just really wanted, I said, man, for those who don't know about the Richmond Planet, self-included, I want you to look at that plate and be able to deduce that it has something to do with paper. Therefore, it's a newspaper in the background, things like that. And I just really wanted it to look like the cover page of a newspaper, the front page of a newspaper. So that was a thought process. And then what was intriguing was like, okay, I want to put a QR code on there. And he was like, QR code. And I'm like, yeah. They said we could do anything on a plate, so I want to test them out, test their word, anything. So in doing that, Virginia had never had a QR code, has never had a QR code on a license plate, so that's like revolutionary within itself. And I decided, with that, I want you to be able to scan the QR code and learn more about the Richmond Planet. So it's a fully functional, permanent license to a QR code where if you scan that QR code, you can learn more about the Richmond Planet. It will take you to a documentary that I'm also filmed in that's called Birth of a Planet that tells the story of John Mitchell and the Richmond Planet. So just a way, you just doing history, like a little history lesson.
For sure. And it's crazy because you don't know like how much you can get deep into it. There's so much out there that we don't know about, that we discover over time based on this stuff. And we both know because we're in the fraternity, we're in the same fraternity. So, when you have to go back and look at your founders and figure out what they used to do and all that. Like, if you don't, if you might have never knew that if you weren't interested in this certain thing. So getting that interest first and then getting your interest peaked and going back and doing history, you find out that some of the people that we would never hear about, they go unspoken, but their work is still present day. Like, I'd lived in Richmond my whole life and I never knew what the Richmond Planet was until you created the concept. You along with shout out to Ricky Parker. Came up with the design and stuff like that. So that was big. So that's when I started doing my own homework. Like, you start educating me on what it was. I'm like, okay, I didn't even know this ever existed. So
yeah, I think he's up there, man. He's just as revolutionary as Frederick Douglass. Excuse me. He's just as influential to me, but because it's Richmond, because they tried to slander his name and said that he was involved in embezzlement. This and the third, I feel like his name was forgotten. So, I just wanted to be that bridge to tell his story in 2020 and beyond. So that way, you never forget John Mitchell. Because I also feel like you can't tell Virginia's history without telling John Mitchell and the Richmond Planet's history. So that was one of the ways that he was very influential. He spoke out to the erection of Confederate monuments. They quoted him in the newspaper when they took down the Robert E. Lee statue, where he said, hey, this was put up by a black man and a black man will be here when they take it down. So it's just like, his words just personified. So that was pretty dope to me.
Yeah, sure. So I want to take it back to the beginning a little bit, to your origin story. So being from Tappahannock.
Yeah.
How the hell did you make it out of that? We don't know much about Tappahannock. You know that.
Yeah.
We know the Breezy connection.
Yeah,
but
Breezy,
what I'm
Breezy.
saying?
Yeah, for sure.
That's probably like the biggest thing we ever heard. Like,
yeah.
And then, he got an association with Richmond because some of his people from down here. So
he
used to always kind of be around the area. So how was it growing up in Tappahannock? And how was that?
Man, I would say, growing up in Tappahannock, it was definitely a fun time. There are a lot of things that don't exist there that exist here. And I say that like it's not 45 minutes away. It's only 45 minutes away, but I mean, it's a culture shock. And, in that, like, it's on the water. So I had access to the water my entire life. Like, I could go to a beach and swim, fish, do whatever I wanted to do. So, like, that concept of water access, not having access to, that's foreign to me. There's no real crime. Everyone's friendly. They leave their doors open. There are no, homeless individuals panhandling at the side of the street. We really don't have that. And it's a big football town. It's a big sports town, but football is king back home. So as a member of the football team, like, I was always engulfed in like sports, so football, basketball, running track, this, that, and the third. And truthfully, man, being the same age as Breezy, not realizing until he got out first, because he was like the first one of like my class, like class of 2007, or 89 babies, whichever way you want to look at us. But he was the first one that got out and was like, yo, like, this is Chris. Because before it wasn't no Breezy. This is Chris from Tappahannock, who has a record deal, and he has a song with not only Jewels, but like Lil Wayne. You know what I'm saying? So like that was dope. And like I'm in the era where like Wayne was king.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like he was the epitome of the remix, champion. So, having a song with him and him getting out, it was like, well, dang, it's possible, because we was in high school when Chris became famous. So it was one of those where like it's a couple years left. So for me, man, I knew staying at Tappahannock won't it for me. And I think one of the best things and most humbling things, my football team was undefeated my senior year, and we lost to Goochland in the state semifinal game. And like that was a wake-up call, because at that time my team, Essex, had never won a state championship. So we were really trying to win the first ever state championship in history, undefeated. That was like the second time in our school history that our team had went undefeated. So that was my number one focus. And that was my senior year. And then to lose, it was like, okay, now it's time to pivot. Like, what next? Like, I hadn't even took the SAT at that point, man. I had no aspirations of going to college. I'm a first generation college student, so the idea of FAFSA was foreign to me. I didn't even know what that entailed. So, from there, I'm gonna be honest. They was like, oh, if you go to college, you can make more money. I'm like, okay, that sounds like a no-brainer to me. Like, I've been in school my entire life, ever since like 6 years old. Like, all right, I can do 4 more years. Like, what's 4 more years when I'm 18? Like, I can do 4 more. So, how I got out, when I first went, I went to DeVry University for game simulation programming, which that is a dope field, but it was a lot that I had to do. Like, I was still living in Tappahannock. I would have to commute to Fredericksburg, get on the commuter train, go to Crystal City, and that joint just got old. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. So I came home, went to community college, mentor another Kappa as well, Brother Lyles. Like, he did not like the idea of me going to a community college back home. But I'm like, it's a means to an end. Like, I'm going to get out. Now, ironically, Chris is on tour. He's dating Rihanna. He's doing the East Coast leg of the tour. So he was doing some of the, so like, my friends, we would be like, nah, he might not have been dating Rihanna at the time. Let me back up on that. But either way, I ain't trying to get some of my boy up. Yeah. He might not have been dating Rihanna at the time, at the very beginning.
Like 09?
Right. Yeah, 09. Yeah, so he might not.
I think it was around that time. Yeah,
so
I was in high school. That was my senior year. I graduated in 09.
So don't quote me if he was dating her at the time.
It might have been though. I think
if he wasn't, it was shortly thereafter he started.
Okay.
But either way, so he would be. I remember vividly, he does the Take You Down concert in Richmond, the one where they shut off the lights. He's on the little like thing that's rotating. Yeah. He does that. I'm at his crib the like after that. Then we go to a football game, high school Essex football game after that. So like I really got to go to some of his concerts, kick it with him. And I was at community college. I'm like, man, I want to like seeing his jaded version of life, which I feel like at that point he was probably already larger than life, but he was larger than my Tappahannock life. And that really motivated me to like, oh yeah, I got to get out. And then that's what led me. So, I ironically went to Union to potentially play football. I met with the coaches and I just didn't feel like it was a good fit. And then my best friend who went to Radford at the time was like, yo, my cousin and my brother went to Virginia State. Like, you might want to look at Virginia State. And I'm like, I know about Virginia State because being from Tappahannock, Norfolk State was very close. A lot of our players went to Norfolk State. And I knew that Virginia State played Norfolk State in the Labor Day Classic, but you couldn't pay me. I didn't know where Virginia State was at. I didn't know any of that. So I was like, okay, it's like an hour and some change from here. It's close enough where I can come home if I need to, but it's far enough that my mama not going to just pop up home. And so boom, Virginia State it is. So I ended up going to Virginia State. And then the moment I got there, man, I feel like that's the first time I learned about the true essence of diversity. Like you think of diversity coming from a place like Tappahannock where it's like 50-50 black, white, but you know, the white people there are very successful. They're, you know, they own businesses, property, this, that, and the third. To Virginia State, where diversity is not just the color of your skin. It could be, you know, geographical, like where are you located.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, you know, age. It could be the part of Virginia, all of these things, country, city. So, you know, learning about the true essence of diversity was something that just like, oh man, like it was something that I felt like was contagious. And then it helped that like a ton of people from Tappahannock went to Virginia State. So like the people who matter.
I already asked you because it seemed like everybody I know went to goddamn state. What's up with that,
yeah. So you know, like I would say, I don't know how many you know predated us, but it was a time. So from 2009 to 2012, like it was a lot of people. So my boy Hoover Taylor, your line brother, obviously he went there, ran track, one of the greatest collegiate athletes to ever touch the track at Virginia State.
Mm-hmm.
He went there, and then ironic, like this is how the true essence of Tappahannock. So it's validation day, and for everyone who's college educated, you know, like getting validated is a process where like making sure your FAFSA checkout, making sure you got a dorm room, all of that. So like Hoover met me and my mom and walked us through the validation process. He's a collegiate athlete. You know, they got first dibs, preferential treatment. He's validated. So he takes me through it, gets me in his dorm. So it's like he could at least lay eyes on me, this, that, and the third. And, you know, told me the ropes, like as a freshman, you can't drive. But he was like, oh, just say that you work. Told him I worked. They gave me a daggone decal for the car. Like it was all of the things that he knew, and he was already a collegiate student. And then, you know, just put me on game. And then like, I just paid it forward and like, okay, hey, to the next generation, like, here's what you need to do. So just seeing all that, like a lot of my teammates, you know, from football, track, they went, cheerleaders that I had at Virginia State, like it. And the crazy part, at some point in time between, you know, the time I got there, between the time I left, because I ended up being an RA in that dorm, pretty much everybody from Tappahannock stayed in the same building. So it was just like a Tappahannock reunion, man. I'm not even gonna lie.
Man, yeah, we used to have a good time at state. I used to pull up, so you know.
Yeah.
But union all day, man. You know, you know that shit. So after you graduate, how long did you wait to go like to grad school and anything like that? Did you take a year off, 2 years?
I graduated in 2012, so I knew I wanted to take 1 year. Like, you know, that whole, I could do 4 more years, man. That 4 years was tough. Like that post, you know, high school 4 years in the beginning, man, it was rough. Like I used to say like, oh man, I could do a morning class. Like we had to do AM classes in high school. A collegiate AM class is completely different.
That's how I messed around and had to do it. I was failing class just because I wouldn't even wake up to go to the motherfucker. Like 8 o'clock, that's a tall task.
Nah,
I started getting to 10 o'clock. I'm good at 10. But 8 o'clock, it's different. And I'm working and stuff now too. So it's way different.
I worked too, and it was one of those. I graduated just with honors, a 3.01. Like, so like that was something that I wanted to do for the fam. But it was like, oh, I need to take a break. So, you know, I took a year off. And in doing that, you know, just really, I don't want to say saw the world, but just enjoyed life. Like, was vacationing with friends. I went to the Olympic exhibition game, met Kobe, met, you know, President Obama, KD, LeBron, Chris Paul, Carmelo, all of them. So like I did that, just really enjoyed it. So then, you know, from there, I'm going on this on the what I call like, hey, I got a degree, I can get a job journey. So I'm applying for all of these jobs. I'm getting these interviews, and they're like, oh man, you know, like, oh, you got a degree in this, that, and the third, but your resume looks good, but we're just looking for somebody with more experience. So I was running into that, and I'm like, and I was a business management major in undergrad, and it was like, well, how am I going to get experience if I don't get an opportunity? I don't know how that's supposed to work.
That's the,
it's like a catch-22.
Yeah, it is.
And then someone was like, oh yeah, you know, business management is so broad, you need to specialize. And I'm like, okay. So then I started doing my research, and I'm like, I think I want to do HR. And I strategically picked HR because I was like, okay, I'm Black, I'm a male. It's not a lot of African Americans in the industry. It's
Yeah.
not a lot of men in the industry, and it's predominantly run by women. So like
Sure.
I want to position myself in a place where like I could be successful, and I got an opportunity. So I started doing my research, and at the time I was working at Best Buy, and I wanted to go to VCU, ironically, and VCU's grad school program is run like almost like an undergraduate program where the classes are offered during the day. When you think about grad school, it's traditionally at night. So at Best Buy, they was not really trying to be flexible with me. And it was like, I mean, well, we're supportive of tuition reimbursement. We're supportive of people continuing their education. It just can't conflict with Best Buy. And at the time, I want to say, man, I was like a supervisor and I worked full time. So I would either work 2 to 10 or 12 to 8. So like the idea of going to grad school just wasn't in the cards for me back then. And then like fate had it, ended up getting laid off and ended up working in Richmond public schools as a algebra readiness coach at Benford Middle School out there in the fan. So shout out to Benford. They gave me an opportunity, and then I'm like, man, this is my time. So this was 2014 at the time. So I started looking into schools. I'm like, okay, now I got time to go back to go back to what I wanted to do. VCU, God tells no lies. I apply to VCU. I go to submit my application. I go to pay. It wouldn't allow me to pay. So I'm like, oh, it got to be a glitch. All right. I got a Mac. I tried on like a regular Windows. It doesn't work. I call VCU. They're like, oh, we're actually canceling the HR program because of low enrollment. Defeated. And the lady is like, well, guess what? I know that University of Richmond has a great HR program. Whoever that lady is to this day, like, I don't know her name. I don't know who she was. I'm sure she wasn't even supposed to say that.
Yeah.
Because you would think that, like, they're trained to, like, convince someone to another program at VCU. She was like, nah, like, University of Richmond got a great HR program. And that's what put University of Richmond on the radar for me. And I applied to University of Richmond, get in, and the lady she calls me. I'll never forget, it's a Friday. She gave me a call and was like, when you want to start? And I'm like, how soon can I start? She was like, classes start in May. I said, oh, well, sign me up.
Yeah.
So I'm still living in Tapp at the time. And I'm like, yeah, I want to go to University of Richmond. I'm about to start in grad. And it's a 2-year program. I'm like, I'm going to get it done in 2 years. So from May to May, so from 2014 to 2016, I go straight. I go, 2 classes a semester. And that's how I graduated my master's in human resources from University of Richmond.
What is some of the bigger difference that you see from starting as undergrad with HBCU, then going to a PWI for the graduate level? Like,
man, I would say, one of the biggest difference is the network. So the brand, like University of Richmond speaks for itself. So like that undergrad, that was for me. That was something I wanted to do. But not saying that you can't do this, but that master's degree is for Reggie Carter, the brand. Like University of Richmond speaks for itself. And, I hate to say it, but it just is what it is, where like if someone looked at 2 individuals on paper with the same, qualifications, background, attributes, oh, this person went to University of Richmond, this person went to Virginia State, who you choosing? I hate the sad reality is society is going to choose University of Richmond, more likely than not, I will say that, more likely than not than the Virginia State. So that was one of the biggest differences there. And then too, man, in grad school, there is no financial aid. It's 100% loans. You are responsible for it. So that we have no time to play, dream, or drift. That's real in college, in grad school, because it's like, this is on my dime. Or the company's dime if you got a good, if you're working for a good company that has tuition reimbursement. But I say one of the biggest differences is, oh, that professor is getting paid. And they're like, look, you can play if you want to. I don't have no problem with failing you. Have no problem with you spending another $3 to $4 grand to retake this class. And then in grad school, you only can get 1 seat. If you get a second seat, you're kicked out. At least at University of Richmond. I can't speak anywhere else, but University of Richmond, that second seat, you're gone. You're expelled.
I think it's like that too, because, I think if you get like a certain grade, you're only got 1 chance to really slip up. So,
So I think that's one of the biggest differences. So if you have a master's degree, you at least got a 3.0. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't afford to get more than 1 seat. So you at least got a 3.0. You know what I'm saying? So I think That was one of the biggest differences. And then, man, you know, with University of Richmond versus Virginia State. Virginia State's Division II. University of Richmond is some form of D1. I don't know. It's like specific with conference or whatever they're in.
I think in different sports. Like I met the hockey coach the other day. They in the ACC.
Yeah.
And the ACC in hockey is way different than it is.
Exactly.
Football,
so it's like, you know, football, I got to see Carson Wentz play University of Richmond. You know what I'm saying? I got to see Tariq Cohen play at University of Richmond in a playoff game. You know what I'm saying? So like seeing that.
Who I had on the last episode, Malcolm.
Yeah.
He played against him. He was like, he glad he whooped him up on his last year though.
Yes.
But North Carolina Central played
so
A&T and shit.
That's the biggest difference for me. Like just seeing that, and I'm like, man, wow, like just the level of football is different than what I'm used to watching. You know, from CIAA level. Like it's just crazy. It's like you're borderline watching like the pros, you know? Like so that was one of the big differences for me. So
That's tough. But I don't regret my HBCU experience for nothing.
Oh, for sure.
But I do get the politics in the world due. Yeah. So what you were saying, being an HR specialist, you know, because it's not my decision at that point. If it's higher than me, like the person's gonna choose.
Yeah. It's a network. Like, oh, I know that school. You know, like we're gonna know Virginia State, but you know, if you got this manager from Montana that is a you know, deputy director or commissioner or hiring manager, they may have heard of University of Richmond. Because University of Richmond got a great law program, this and the third. So things like that. Like I just really you want to be strategic and choosing a school for the brand.
Nah, for sure. So a little bit back to like the things you did to get your signatures and everything to get this approved by the DMV. You had some big names kind of support you. Of course, Breezy. Chris Brown.
You
gotta meet Meek Mill, get a picture with him when he was on his reform stuff in the city here. You had Mike Vick. You got AI. Like how was those things, those moments, they like support Dr. Umar? Shout out to
Dr. Umar. Hey, some people say he a wild dude, but I rock with Dr. Umar, man. Dr. Umar, he good with me, man. So the dope part about it, bro, I felt like the Breezy one was inevitable. It's being my guy. So like I ain't want to start with Breezy. And I knew I was gonna make that happen some kind of way. I just didn't know how. But it was like I wanted to venture somewhere else first because I felt like I wanted to like conclude it with Breezy, which, you know, that was my original idea, although it didn't work that way. But you know, so from there, man, Meek Mill was the first person that like showed it love, and he was in the city, like doing his justice reform. And I remember meeting him, and I'm like, yo, Meek, like, man, I got this plate, this and the third. He was sweating at first, bro. Like, I ain't even gonna hold you. Like, it's a hot, you know, day. He got on a jean jacket. He ain't really trying to. So I'm like, yo, Meek, bro, fly Eagles fly. And he was like, all right, come on over. I lied, bro, right hand of God. That's how it went down. So I was like, yo, I got this plate, man. Like, can we get a pic or whatever? And he was like, yeah, nah. Like, and then he told like his agent something like, yo, take the picture. So then from there, it just went up. So like Meek, you had Mike Vick. Mike said him and his whole family is getting one. Like he's definitely supporting it. You know, you got AI. So like I just wanted to think of like almost like FUBU, for us, by us. You know, that's like my generation. Like that was popping back when I was in like middle school and stuff like that. So like I really wanted prominent Virginia figures to support it because like Meek is cool. But there's the people that's like, man, Meek ain't even from Virginia. So I really wanted to do Virginia numbers, you know, this and the third. So that's when I did the Mike Vick, the AIs, you know, this, that, and the third. Ant Harris, Cleveland Farrell.
Shout out to Ant Harris.
Shout out to both of them just showing it love. Like, I just wanted any and everybody from VA. Dr. Umar, while he's not from VA, was in VA. And we did like a little swap. Like, I had the plate. He had the book. Like, we did a little joint where we flicked it up, this, that, and the third. He showed us some love. He actually signed the petition to get it passed, which is dope, in my opinion. Like, he actually signed a petition. Like, you know, he gave me his phone number. I ain't think it was him until he wrote me back. So, you know, he wrote me back. So I'm like, okay, it's him. So he ended up signing a petition, this, that, and the third. And then like the Breezy one, I knew what was going to happen once I got Breezy on it. But like I just wanted it to be passionate, where it's like, you know, I've prided myself. I'm 36. I've known him my entire life. I've never asked for a thing. So this was like not necessarily the first thing, but like what I did, I made a custom mock plate with his name on it, and said Breezy. And then like I inscribed it, was like, yo, thank you for being our generation's, GOAT from Tap. Like, keep doing you. You're inspiring, our whole friend group to want to do positive things ourselves. So then he was like, yo, we gotta get a pic. So then we got the picture with the joint, and it just went up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Chris don't really comment on people's pages. So then he commented on my page. And then after that, that's when it like solidified, like, yo, this a Virginia license plate. Cause like Chris being one of the biggest millennial Virginia stars, if not the biggest, biasly saying, that's the, little nod to the Tap, but one might say from Tap, like I know, people might say like Trey Songz, but I'm like, he ain't on Breezy level, respectfully. So it's like,
we're gonna get to that. What
so in that, he showed me some love, and it just went crazy from there. Like everybody named, I'm like, oh my God, I want one. Like so many like celebrity, and I'm like, I really can't. Like I want it. It's Virginia. Like I appreciate the love, but like if you ain't from Virginia, you can't get one. Unfortunately, at this particular point in time, So like that's where it was, man. But it was pretty dope though.
So what you ended with saying how I went up at the Breezy. How did you feel when he just won this last Grammy? Finally, after all the years of being overlooked and things like that, how did that feel for the city, for you, person and everything?
Like I'm one of those, man. I'm a loyal, supportive friend. So like back home, he a friend. Like I look at, he not Breezy, he just Chris. So like seeing him or any of my other friends be successful in what they want to do. Like I got a friend, Terry, that's an architect. I got another friend, Brian, he's an officer in the Air Force. This, that, and the third. So seeing my friends be successful in what they choose to pursue in life, that was dope. So like him getting, this was his second one, and I feel like we are all human. So I think, his past mistakes, this and the third, things that happened when he was a daggone a teenager was used against him. And I feel like the industry blackballed him because he definitely has some songs and albums that was, and I'm not even really a musical person, but like they were definitely worthy of, Grammys. And then for him to now get his second one, I knew what it meant to him because he's one of those, he's not going to say it, but I know it's important, like it solidifies him in ways. It's almost like winning a championship or winning a ring. Like you can still be a Hall of Famer with no ring, but then you got to deal with the Shaqs of the world that constantly remind you that like he got 5 or 4, you got 0. Charles Barkley, and nobody wants to be a Charles Barkley or Carmelo. You know what I'm saying? Like they're GOATs, but we don't want to be them. So like everybody want to be Kobe, everybody want to be Jordan, and what we associate that with is winning championships, winning rings. This and the third, and I know, he's went platinum, all of those things that matter, but like getting that Grammy, man, like I knew it meant a lot because I even hit him up and I was like, man, I'm so proud of you, congrats. And he just sent like, some praying hand emojis, like, so I knew it was dope for him.
That's what's up. So speaking of Shaq, who's a Laker, you also a diehard Lakers fan.
For sure.
We have that in common.
I don't know
about that Eagle shit, though, with the Lakers. So you mentioned earlier getting a chance to meet and see Kobe. I unfortunately never got to see Kobe live in person. I only admired from the TV and from that aspect, and always wanted to go to a Lakers game, not being able to afford it or just not knowing how reasonable it was for me at the time because I didn't look into it because I'm like, that's got to be expensive. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So how did it feel to, I know you seen Kobe his last year too, but like you seen him before that. Like, how did it feel every time that you like got to see your favorite player all the time get on that goddamn court and do his thing?
Man, it's crazy because Kobe still is, even in death, is my idol. You know what I'm saying? So like, I equate it ain't just seeing your favorite like athlete, like seeing your idol, seeing a role model. Like I was born in '89, and just like you said, you couldn't necessarily afford a ticket back in the day. Like I couldn't always afford cable, so like I'm not gonna sit here. A lot of people say I grew up on the watching, Michael Jordan era. I didn't. I'm from Tappahannock. We didn't have cable all the time, so like Jordan was on TV. I knew of the name because everybody else had on Jordans or had jerseys and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna say I was oblivious, but I didn't grow up watching Jordan win 6 rings. Nah. Like if I had to think, my first like remembrance of Jordan is watching Space Jam. Like, and that's real, you know, because
So
my mom
Space
used to.
Jam, and then the 97, 98 finals. That's when I vividly remember watching the game. I seen the last shot. I seen all that shit.
Like my mom was big on getting us VHS tapes. So like she had Space Jam on VHS,
Space Jam,
and like I'm like, oh, he tough. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't even gonna hold, like, it's Jordan. Like, you know, he tough. But like Kobe, man, like, my rest in peace to my stepdad, man. But my stepdad used to watch the Lakers. And as I started to get older, he used to allow me to get closer and closer to him on the couch, watching the games. And I used to stay up later and later because it's West Coast games. So, you know, on a school night, don't let it go to overtime. You're not going to bed till about 1 o'clock. And, you know, it used to be the whole, oh, Rich, you got to get in bed. It's 10. So, like, all right, you can watch the first quarter to the first half. And then by the end, man, I'm rocking out like, oh, what time Lakers play? You know, like, it got to that point. So, like, I grew up watching Kobe, man. Like, win his 3 championship rings back to back with Shaq. So, like, I grew up on that. So, like, finally being able to meet him my senior year in college, not even gonna lie, it was a dream come true. And, like, shout out to my mom. That was my 22nd or 23rd, 22nd birthday present. So she got me a ticket to the Laker game. So not knowing to set up anything like that, I happened to be like poor people courtside. And I say that like, you know, I wasn't courtside where I'm sitting on the side, this and the third. I was sitting behind the basket. That's a unique spot because that's where they come in and out at, you know? So I remember like seeing them and they lost that game, unfortunately. And he was walking to the locker room and I was like, okay, I either get a chance to like get this money shot pick or shake his hand. What's it gonna be? And like, I was so starstruck, like, I was like, I'm gonna just try my luck and just shaking his hand. So like, I put my hand out and he like daps me up. And I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to y'all, fellas. I held that man's hand like until gravity said no more. So like, he dapped me up and I just held his hand. And like he kept walking, but you know, like it kept rising up the rafters to the point where like he couldn't reach no more. And I just let his hand go. And I still remember this joint, man, because he was pissed that they lost. And this was back when he had the mask on and stuff because he just broke his nose. He ended up like, you know, that like, dang, we lost. Like, so he ended up doing like that. I didn't wash my hair for the rest of the day. Like, I'm not even going to sit. This hand, I did not wash it. I took a picture of it. I have it in my phone of me like, oh my God, Mom, I met Kobe Bryant. And then it was so dope that one of my boys, ironically, my brother's best friend, was at the game too. So he saw the interaction. So like I had somebody that could like solidify, like, I met Kobe. So like that was the first time. So like I was a little like good with it. And then like the second time I seen him was his last game. That's 2016. Crazy story there. Like the Wizards reached out to me and was like, hey, Mr. Carter, I know you be buying tickets to the Lakers game. You may want to get a ticket because word on the street, Kobe's about to retire. And I'm like, how the hell you as a Wizards, you know, person who sells tickets, how would you know that Kobe about to retire? Like, I'm a Laker fan, I didn't even hear that. I do a little research and I was like, some rumblings. And he was like, Mr. Carter, I've never done you bad. And I was like, okay, yo, so shout out to my man, Zach from the Wizards. He was like, buy a ticket. So I ended up buying a ticket. I would say like a week or two later, he announces, he does the Dear Basketball, announces that he's retiring. Man, them tickets was off the chain. I got it for the retail off of Lakers playing the sorry Wizards, you know what I'm saying? So seeing him then, and then like he just turned back the clock. So like watching that game, I was just happy to be in the building the last time he played against the Wizards. He went off, they won. That was like 8 Froby Kobe moment, or you know, 81 Kobe. Like he had 30 plus points, they won the game. So it was like, that was dope seeing that in person. Unfortunately, someone ruined that for everybody because they went and gave him a hug. So he ain't do no autographs, no nothing. Like a fan just ran on the court, hugged him from the back. They shut it down. So like, it was just one of those situations like, yeah, you're not gonna be able to see him. So then backing up, you know, I did get to meet him at the Olympics, the exhibition game. So that was a graduation present. They played Brazil in DC. So again, poor people's courtside. I'm like, look, I have great success in these seats. So this is where I'm gonna be at. So I was there, and I just remember he was running out on the court, and I'm like, Kobe, dap me up. And he like just dapped me up running onto the court, man. And I got like an autographed basketball. He had a Gatorade a towel on. I took the towel. Like, man, I was wild. I ain't even gonna hold you. I ain't even gonna hold. I can't say nothing crazy and say I was ready to risk it all. That would be a little like, that's a possible moment. But I was willing to get thrown out of the out the arena to get that, you know. So it was pretty dope, bro. It was pretty dope.
Nah, that's dope, man. Like, just to hear that, because it's my favorite player as well. So watching him all these years, and then his last game being that 60-point stuff like that, it's just like that energy. I know actually getting to see him in person and dap him up, that energy kind of got transferred over.
Man, I'm gonna tell you this. In the heat of the moment, I was upset, but now it's just like a like something that I could just think of. So like Kobe's last game was my last day in grad school. Like, so I wanted to go to the game, right? Couldn't go because I had class. Like that was the day of our final. When our final,
had to be there,
University of Richmond, you had to present a business case for why or why not we should do, you know, you should invest in this company off season or whatever. So something crazy like that. So I'm just like, dang. So I just remember doing, and at the end, you always got to ask, what questions do you have for me? Any questions, this and the third. And I had like Kobe Bryant on the joint, like with his hand, like any question, like what questions do you have for me? So it was pretty dope watching him go crazy that night and knowing that like, yo, that's the last day of grad school for me. Like I'm done with college, because I can tell you now, I'm not going back. I made a decision. I'm not, it's never, they say never say never. I'm in HR. I got a master's. I don't need nothing else. I'm not going back, bro. So, you know, for me, it was dope seeing him like go out with a bang, and then he had to, you know, tell the speech at the end, and then goes, Mamba out. Like, but we out.
Yeah, that was hard. That was hard. So you did get to go to the retirement though. Retirement, y'all.
So crazy thing that reminds me of Love and Basketball, when they was talking, you know, the whole, when Omar's talking about like, oh, I thought you would have when Magic retired, this, that, and the third. So because I missed the game, I knew I was going to the jersey retirement. Yeah. So for that, you know, it's a lot of speculation, like which jersey they retiring. 8, they're gonna retire 24. He's done equal amount in both. He won 3 championships. In 8, he won 2, you know, in 24. He got the MVP in 20. Like, which one, well, you know, are they gonna do? And I'm like, oh, I gotta be in there. Yeah. I have to be in there. So like ended up going to that joint, and ironically they retired both. And he was like the first player in NBA history to have 2 jerseys retired for the same team. So like being able to witness that, I met Magic Johnson, ironically, like him and his wife walked right past me, and I'm like, Magic, what up? Like he just like dapped me up. Like it was crazy, bro. It was definitely a movement. You know, Lakers, they played Golden State that game. KD was on Golden State, so I got to see KD play. The game went to overtime. The Lakers was trash that year, and we almost beat them. So it was like a competitive game. So it was like, you can't ask for anything better. Like overtime, on the cusp of going double overtime, but they got KD. So, you know, KD scores, and then I was like, I can't even be mad at this. You know what I'm saying? I can't even be mad.
Yeah. And then on the, I know you were at the statue revealing recently. You got to make it to that too. R.I.P. to Kobe, man.
R.I.P. to Kobe, man.
Yeah, I know that was a special moment. That was dope. Probably a dope experience as well to see the unveiling of the statue and that.
Yeah. I would say like being a millennial, man, you know, you think you got all the time in the world, but you never know just how much time someone's have. So for me, I always thought like, yo, Kobe, he did actually. It just wasn't on in my time, and if you will, like, yo, he's gonna do a book signing or something like that, and I'm gonna like make enough money where like I can meet him and have a conversation. You know, get a book signed and just talk to him and just tell him that he's my idol. Just any little thing, man. And I was like, yeah, I know I'm gonna do that in adulthood. Like, I'm gonna make enough money where like I can afford a ticket and meet him, you know, or something like that, or quote unquote with the, you know, irony to Breezy, like a meet and greet for Kobe. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like I just knew I was gonna do that, and then unfortunately, like, you know, he passed away, and I didn't get that opportunity, and then like it was a double blow for me because I had just bought one of his books off of eBay that was autographed. And because of that, they like canceled the order and was like, oh, because they knew like the
Yeah,
price
it's
of the
about to
joint
go, yeah.
was about to go up. So it was super whack how it went down. And then, you know, the funeral, I tried to get a ticket to go to the funeral, but wasn't able to get that, which the funeral was at Staples Center. So and then COVID happened for the when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So like I felt like that was my opportunity to say bye or farewell, see you later my way. So like being able to be at the statue unveiling when it was unveiled last year, it was just a dope experience to be there and you know, to be, and that was my first time ever probably throwing up LA, like being able to throw up LA and have like Kobe statue in the backdrop was like pretty dope.
Yeah, nah, that's what's up. The closest I got, I met Shaq when I was in Dallas. Over in Oxford. So that was cool. I got to, like, he was on a Laker, like, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Hey, that shit was hilarious. Shaq is a funny dude. That's all I
he's
can
hilarious,
tell y'all. He used to do some little slick shit in, man. I was like, I couldn't believe he just walking. He was just literally walking around regular.
When you Shaq, bro, like, who's trying you, bro? Like,
he was just walking around Dallas, but we was in like a more like white mall area, so it wasn't like he was in the hood with it. Like, I think he would have probably had more people around him. But he was just, he was chilling. He had big ass Crocs on and a beater, just walking around. I said, Shaq, what's up? I'm a Lakers fan. He got me up. We talked like, can I get a picture? I was chopping it up for like 30 seconds. I can't say what he said. I ain't gonna say what this nigga wild though.
That's how I
say this nigga wild. Man, I guess this was the only niggas out there he kind of coded to that, because it was a whole bunch of little white kids coming up.
Oh yeah,
they was like homecoming scene, so they was dressed up and shit. And then when he seen us, he was like, he said, basically I just say he said some nigga shit.
Yeah, my opinion, that's what you want. I just want you to keep it real.
It was
I want you to be one of us. It's almost like the little joint where it shows Obama like shaking people's hand and then like dapping up the brothers. Like that's like that's what we want. That's all I want.
Yeah. So that was dope. That was dope. So speaking of sports and everything, I guess we could move on to the Eagles.
Yeah.
The current champs of the world.
Come on now.
I am happy I beat the hell out of Kansas City, but
for sure, bro.
I got mad all over again when y'all was whooping their ass, because I'm like, we could have easily did this last year. we had a great roster.
Yeah.
And Shanahan's frustrated, but neither here nor there. But y'all won the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
One of our frat brothers from the area as well.
Christian Parker.
He played for U of R.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. He actually is a coach for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Defensive back coach.
Yes.
Talk about that. Like, you got to see him at the playoff game on the way to the Super Bowl. I'm sure y'all kicked at the parade, all that stuff.
Yeah. Man, so it was dope. So me and CP go back, like, we, you know, in the fraternity world with Sans, we crossed the same year. So like, I've known CP before he was a captain, you know, so going through that process of becoming a noob together, like, it's something that like keeps us intertwined, I feel like, for the rest of our lives, for real. So I've always followed his success, or, you know, his coaching, whether it was Virginia State, Norfolk State, Texas A&M, things of that nature, like watching him coach there and then going to the league, you know, and coaching like Green Bay, Denver Broncos, and then like seeing him come to the Eagles was like, wow, like, hold on now, like my boy and my team.
Yeah.
So like, unfortunately for me, I ruptured my Achilles playing basketball. So like that, like, halted my experience of like going to every single game, but I knew I was gonna make a game. And I told him the whole time, like, yo, if we win this Super Bowl, because, you know, you have to, so what separates every team, and we assess who your team was, but and I know you're a 49ers fan, but what separates like every team in NFL and the Cowboys fans is we have those unrealistic conversations internally. We don't go like and just, we win the Super Bowl this year. Like, this is our year. Like, oh my God, we're gonna win it. We don't do that. You know, but
can't do that.
But internally, I can't lie and say like, yo, bro, if we win the Super Bowl this year, being the year you coached us, like, this is gonna go down as like one of the greatest wins, like, of a lifetime for me personally. You know what I'm saying? So it's, you know, we was doing good. It's, you know, it's successful. Like, we started off, you know, in the beginning, like, a little rocky. Like, we lost to the Falcons, like PS games, winnable games that, like,
y'all ended up losing just 2 games on the year, right?
But, you know, we was 2-2 in the beginning of the season. People were like, oh, this is a star-studded roster. You got Saquon Barkley, you got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts. all of this. So it's like, hey, what's going on? Y'all need to run the ball. So it's one of those, like, I would say I kept the main thing. Every time we won, I would text him, like even if we lost, but you know, I know how it is losing. You don't want to hear from me.
Yeah.
You don't want, like, you pissed. Like, you a professional coach.
Yeah.
You lost. Like, you don't want to hear from us. Like, you want to get back in the locker room and get back. Like, hey, no, we need another Sunday right now. We need to play. So, what I would say, like, every week we won, I would like, yo, congrats. Like, that's one more, this, that, and third. And we would chop it up. So all year long we would talk. And then I was like, yo, I'm gonna make a game. And then ended up going to the Commanders, Eagles, NFC championship game. And man, like, it was an experience.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, being from Tap, there's a lot of my family and friends from the crib who like the Commanders, so I knew that they was gonna be up there. So being up there with them, I personally felt like we was gonna win regardless.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not saying that because I'm a Eagles fan or anything like that.
Y'all was a better team. They was hot. They was hot.
They were. And what I said was, I don't see a rookie quarterback coming into Philly in the cold. And it wasn't that bad, but it was cold. Though. It was cold. And beating us. I just don't see it. Now, I don't think they lost because of him, but I just felt like, hey, you know, they next up.
Yeah.
So we end up winning the game, and I hit CP up, and I'm like, yo, I'm here. Like, so he like, all right, where you at? Like, blah, blah, blah. So he tells me, our other frat brother, you know, Ant, who's also Eagles fan, shout out, you know, Ant Easter. He took us to the game. We really got a chance to like chop it up with CP as the coach, and like, you know, we flicked it up, this, that, and the third. And, you know, that was just like a dope moment. And then like the confetti's coming down, we trying to catch the confetti and all of that. So like, it was pretty, you know, it was pretty dope. And then the parade, so we go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl ultimately, and then they had a parade on Valentine's Day, which was stupid because I went to the parade back in 2017. Well, it was technically 2018 when we won the first one. Yeah,
against the Patriots.
Yeah, against the Patriots. I went to that parade. It was cold as I don't know what, but this one was like, I mean, it was lit. And they ended up going, you know, with Rhino or whatever. So like, that was, you know, just an experience, like experiencing that with him as an Eagles fan. So it was definitely a dope experience, man. You know, I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. And then like seeing CP hold a trophy, got on Jay's glasses, this, that, like, it was lit, man. It was lit.
So that was kind of bring me to my point, the whole Philly thing, you being in Philly. A couple of weeks ago, after the Super Bowl, you were able to do some things, meet some other players, actually personally, get some stuff autographed, and you were able to meet Gilly and Wallow, and they rocking the Richmond Planet chain. Gilly had it on the whole time. How was that feeling like the?
Yeah, so you know, I feel like this license plate has like I feel like I'm an introvert, truthfully, but like there's certain things that like make me have extroverted tendencies, and the license plate is one of them. Like you can't be a business owner, let alone a black business owner, a small business owner, and not be aggressive. You have to be aggressive. You have to be honest. So like, yes, I got to meet a ton of players, and you know, Darius Slay, AJ Brown, CJ Gardner-Johnson, you know, Brandon Graham, things like that. Like, I got to meet those people. Josh Sweat, who's from VA as well.
Yeah, VA.
I really wanted to meet Gilly, and I felt like, yo, it's no way Gilly coming and Wallow not coming to the event or whatever. So like, I had decided, you know, shout out to DMV, like reached out to, you know, my rep out in DMV and said, hey, can you make me like a custom Eagles play? Like it's things that you don't think of. Yeah. But then like,
you gotta ask.
Exactly. And she was like, yeah. Like, and then I was like, and I know it comes with stickers and stuff. Like, can you like alter the dates to make it like when we won the Super Bowl? She was like, yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. So it ended up being February 2025 or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So I just like start playing around. I'm like, like I've been making these chains. So like I made a chain for, you know, my high school, Essex, made a little Essex chain for them. I made a Virginia State chain, and I just like go and just get like some, you know, some like a plastic chain and just tie it to drum. I'm like, man, let me make a green one for the Eagles. And like, let me see, like, if I get to meet Gilly, I'm gonna give it to him.
Yeah.
So I met him, and it's crazy. So like, I'm like, he was like you like as a black person, you know, it's certain things that like is unwritten that we don't do, and that's like touch another person. Like that's you just don't do that. He like touched the joint and was like, "Ooh, that's nice." And then I'm like, "Yeah, I made it." I'm like, "Give me a second, let me get myself together. Like I'm gonna give it to you." He was like, "Don't tell me that. Like you getting me excited. Like don't tell me that."
Yeah.
Like I'm like, "No, I ain't lying. I'm gonna give it to you or whatever." So I ended up giving the joint. I was like, "Yo, you can have it." And he was like, "Nah." Like so he like stopped everything. Like he was filming himself. And he like gave me a shout out, water joint, and then he brought Wallow over, and then we like took this picture. And I'm like, Richmond Planet license plate meets $1 million worth of games. So like that was just dope. Like him being an Eagles fan and then really supporting like something that I made. Like it was definitely a prideful moment, man. It was definitely dope.
Yeah, they shut on the whole damn
The whole
time.
day,
Took
bro.
other
It was
pictures with
taking
that joint.
pictures with other people with my plate, and I look at that like it's no greater sign of respect as a creative than when someone else rocks your brand. Like that's crazy to me. Like they don't have to do that. He could have took the joint, show fake love, took it off. He kept it on, bro. Like that was crazy to me. Like that was dope.
Nah, that was dope. That was dope. I couldn't believe it when I knew he was gonna give him. We had other plans. We was like, maybe he'll take it, maybe he won't. But the fact that he was hyped, I know you probably was like, oh
man,
shit.
Yeah.
Everything just be aligned the way it's
do,
supposed
man.
to, which
It's
is crazy.
divine intervention,
how
bro.
life work. How life work.
For sure.
That shit be crazy, man. But yeah, so that bring all the journey back to here. And we got the Richmond Plate. It's still rocking. If y'all want to get it, where can they find it at? How can they?
Yeah, I got a Instagram page, Rich Planet Plate. You could go there. I'm fully authorized in all Virginia DMVs. So one, you could go to your local DMV and cop the joint, or you can go on DMV's website. So it's one of 250 plus options. So you got 250 options to choose from. It's a specialty plate. It's $10. If it's, you know, you just want a regular one, or 20 if you got personalization. So that's like on top of what your normal fee is. So it's a regular plate at DMV. So, you know, you can go there, cop the joint, and like what's so dope about it, man, it is one of only 7 in the nation that you know are black what I call black excellence plates. And, you know, we defined those earlier and what that was, but, you know, obviously there's more Freemason plates, there's more HBCU, things of that nature.
But this is
Divine Nine, yeah, like,
I know what you're saying.
but it's only 7, like, you know, and 2 of them are cheat codes. They're for like, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So, you know, two of those is MLK joints. So it's like, you can't go wrong with MLK play. Like, so to be mentioned in the same breath as like MLK, it's like, it's surreal, man. But yeah, it's one of 7 in the nation that, you know, I feel like, you know, inclusively celebrates black excellence. Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. So that's all I got for you. I don't know if you got anything else you want to share with the people, but I appreciate your time, wisdom, and knowledge.
Nah, man, it was just dope, man. Like you know, one, I appreciate y'all having me on here, man. It's surreal and it's dope to just be here and just spread, you know, just a bit of me, if you will, and like the plate and how it came to fruition. And then honestly, man, I would just say like, I don't even view myself as a creative. I know that's the title that you must get when you create something, like by virtue of, but like I was really like just this, you know, small kid from, or you know, let's take it back. Like I was a country boy from Tappahannock, you know, country boy from Tappahannock that decided that I wanted to make a plate and do that. So like, you know, my message to like everybody else, like, man, if I can do it, you can do it too. So like I challenge, you know, anybody in the next generation to like do whatever it is that their heart desires, and, you know, what passion project they have. Cause it really started off as like a hobby, and now it's just like, it's a passion of mine. So like, you know, I'm curious to see what the next generation can do when, you know, if they put their mind to it. So yeah, but I appreciate you, bro.
Shit, I appreciate you, man. But y'all know what to do, man. Y'all could follow me at I Love Dom on IG. Follow the Dreams to Reality music page. Look up Dialogue with Dom. That's where you catch all this content at. Yeah, appreciate y'all, man. Until next time, we out.
Yeah, that's good, bro.
Appreciate you,
That was
man.
good. That
Yes,
was
sir.
good.
Yes,
That was
sir.
good.